Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. So by many requests, I'm going to be doing the my first time tag. I don't know if anyone specifically tagged me to do this video, but I have been requested by you guys a lot to come out with this tag video because you guys like to know a little bit more about my personal life and know me on a personal level. So I have not practiced the answers or thought of my answers to any of these questions. I just wrote them down, and I think that there's a couple of different versions of this tag going on, so I just searched it and took the questions from the first one that I saw. So I will put all the questions down below, and if you guys want to leave me a video response answering these questions, I would love to watch it. Oh wait, I don't think that you can even do video responses anymore on YouTube. Okay, sorry. So you guys know that I talk so much. I'm just going to jump into the questions. There are 11 of them, and they're all questions that have to do with my first time doing something. So number one is, do you still talk to your first love? And the answer to that is yes. Richie, to be honest with you guys, is my first love. I did meet him when I was 17 years old, so I was definitely on the young side. I am 25 now, for those of you that don't know. And I had a number of boyfriends before him, but nothing that serious. I think that my most serious relationship before meeting Rich was about 8 or 9 months. And to be honest with you guys, I thought it was love, but to be real, now that I'm an adult looking back, Richie was the one that taught me how to love, what real love is, what it's all about, and anything that I had before meeting him was just puppy love, to be honest. It's not real love, and he was the one that really taught me what real love is. He truly is my best friend. He knows me better than anybody else in the entire world, and I feel like I can come to him about absolutely anything and not be judged, and just have someone always there to listen to me and guide me. And yeah, basically Richie is my true love, and I am with him still. We've been together 8 years, and we will be getting married in about 8 months from now, and it will be on our 9-year anniversary. The day we get married will be our 9-year anniversary, so May 31st of 2014. So yes, I am still with my first love. Number 2 was, what was your first job? I actually want to know if you guys want to see a vlog video on this, because I can tell you guys so many stories about jobs that I had before YouTube. I was kind of like a serial job quitter. I tried out so many jobs, and you guys would laugh at them like crazy. Like, I've had some crazy jobs, but my first real job, I would say, was working. My mom was a real estate agent, and she got me a job just being the receptionist or the front desk. And I did that when I was in high school, and it was just kind of like a part-time job. I was really young, so that was my first real job. Okay, number 3 was, what was your first car? My first car was a 2007 Ford Explorer. It was a Eddie Bauer edition. It was a red burgundy color, and my parents got it for me. My parents got me my first car. I was 17 years old, and it was a truck. But I loved it. I was so happy when my parents bought it for me, and I still can't believe that my parents like bought me my first car. It was just so sweet. They didn't have a lot of money, but they scooped together whatever their savings were, and they surprised me with my first car, and I absolutely loved it. And I think I had it for a couple of years. It wasn't anything special. I will try to insert a picture, but I'm so thankful that my parents, got me my first car. Sweetest thing ever, and I loved it. So the next question is number 4. Who was the first person to text you today? And I already know, even without having to go into my phone. Well, I can show it to you guys in case some of you think that I'm lying. Okay. It's not gonna focus anyway. But it was Richie, because he actually leaves for work every single night at 2 a.m. and I very rarely get to wake up next to him. So ever since he got this job, which has been for the past like 4 years, he's texted me every single day when not when he first gets to work, but when he has like his first lunch break, which is something like 7 a.m. in the morning. And he just texts me good morning, because I don't get to wake up and say good morning to him every day, because he leaves when I'm still sleeping. So every single morning since he's gotten this job, we always text each other good morning. So we get to wake up next to each other on his weekends, which I say his weekends because he's actually not off Saturdays, Sundays like normal people. But I do get to wake up next to him on his days off. But the other 5 days of the week, I always wake up to a text message from him just saying good morning. Number 5 is where was your first sleepover? Now that one is funny because growing up, and again, I think this has to do with just being in a Hispanic family, my parents were very strict and I was not allowed to go to sleepovers because my parents would always tell me, it's not that we don't trust you, it's not that we don't trust your friends, we don't know your friends' parents, their dad, their brother, who's in the family, and they kind of just didn't feel safe with me sleeping over anybody's house, my best friend's house, friends from school, anybody's house. So I didn't really have a sleepover. I was always the girl that would go and then I would have to leave. My parents would come pick me up at like 9 or 10 and I was the one that, you know, just couldn't stay for the night. And my first sleepover, I don't know, would have to be just like as an older teenager, when my parents actually allowed me to make my own decisions. Actually it was probably like age 21. And I don't even know. I don't know. My answer for that one sucks because I was not allowed to go to sleepovers. Number 6 is who was the first beauty related YouTuber that you ever watched? And that was Fafinet X3, which is Aubrey here on YouTube. She uploads once in a while now, but back in the day she used to upload all the time and I was so obsessed with her. She was the first girl that I ever watched. I was actually able to meet up with her about 2 years ago when she was visiting here in New York City. I will try to find some pictures. I don't know if I can find them, but if I can, I will insert them in this vlog. And she was just so amazing in person, the same way that she was in her videos. Absolutely love her. She was a huge inspiration for me and pretty much the reason why I started YouTube videos was because of her. So the next question is number 7, your first broken bone. I've actually never broken a bone. I've never broken a bone in my life. The only time that I've ever been to the hospital was, and I think I told you guys this story before, my dog actually bit me. It was a Scottish Terrier that I had back when I was a teenager. He bit my hand and he kind of bit me right here, the tip of my finger, and my fingernail popped off, but it was kind of still connected by a couple of like nerves on the side, so it was like hanging like this. It went up that way and I had to go to the emergency room and they actually sewed my fingernail back on. It was the most painful thing and I don't know why they did it. They sewed my fingernail back on and I didn't break a bone, but that kind of felt like the amount of pain that when you break a bone, and then they covered it and bandaged it up, and yeah, I never broke a bone, but my dog bit my fingernail off. Next one is what was your first word? Now, I actually just called my parents to find out what my first word was, and I'm gonna roll the footage now. Call my parents' house and try to get an answer to this question. It's actually really early in the morning right now, so I feel a little bit bad calling my parents' house this early, but my dad is usually up, so let's see what happens.
Hello.
Hey Dad, how are you?
Okay, how you doing?
Good. I'm actually filming a video right now, Dad, and I have a question because it's like a tag video. I have to answer these questions. So, do you remember what my first word was when I was a baby? Like, what was the first word that I ever said?
Oh, I think if recollection serves me,
Yeah.
I think your mother kept coaching you.
To say what?
Like that.
Dada? That was my first word?
I think so, unless she can remember different. You know, she used to keep saying it to you till you finally said it, but I don't know if that was the first thing you said.
Okay.
I would think so.
That's a good enough answer.
Said mama first?
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye-bye. So nothing too exciting for that one. I think pretty much everyone's first word is like mama, dada, something like that. So, okay, next was your first fear. And if I try to remember back to like my very, very first fear, I think it was going to school. And I actually have a video which I will see if you guys want to see if I can somehow convert it into the computer and show it to you guys. But it was basically my first day of kindergarten and I was with my mom and my grandma and they dressed me up in like this really fancy like frou-frou puffy dress for my first day of kindergarten. I don't know why, that's just how my mom and my grandma were. And I was all excited, waiting in front of my house for the bus to come and pick me up, you know, telling my grandma, my mom, can't wait, I'm so excited, and you know, just playing with my sister in the front yard. And then the bus pulls up and I start crying hysterically, like the hysterical tears. And it's so sad when I watch it. I want to cry because I feel so bad for myself. And I was crying hysterically, and the bus lady who was driving the bus actually got out and she's like, it's okay, everything's gonna be all right. And I was like, there's no way I'm getting into that bus. I was just like throwing a fit. And my mom was like, it's okay, we'll bring her into school, don't worry about it, she doesn't have to take the bus today. So my mom and my grandma, and this is all on film, they put me in the car and they drive me there and they kind of calm me down, and I'm kind of excited again because my mom and my grandma are with me. So we're driving into the kindergarten and they come and they take me out of the car and they bring me into the classroom, and then I start crying hysterically again when my mom and my grandma are gonna leave, and I actually throw up all over the place. And that was the time that my mom was like, you know what, she's not going to be going to school this year. We're actually going to just hold her back for a year. So kind of all throughout high school and elementary school, I was always a year older than all the rest of the kids. Not a full year, but a couple of months older than the rest of the kids in that grade because my parents held me back that year. I was just too hysterical and freaking out, and my mom just like, her heart broke and she did not want to send me to school that year. I wasn't ready for it and they held me out of school, and the following year I went and I was perfectly fine, no phobia or anything. So that was probably my first fear, going to school. Okay, and the last one is your first embarrassing moment. It's really hard for me to think of what embarrassed me when I was a little kid, because I don't really think that you get embarrassed when you're a little kid, but I can remember back to being a teenager, and I went through this phase where I was really into working out and eating healthy and going to the gym every day, and I really like took care of myself and I saw results, so I was really happy about it. I had like a little mini six-pack going on, and I was like, you know, around my parents' house bragging about it, telling my sister I have a six-pack now or whatever. And every single night when I would go to sleep, my grandma would always tell us to go to sleep with your bra on, because she said that your boobs would be more perky and they would never droop. It must be another Hispanic thing. Let me know if any of your grandmas or moms taught you that too, because I still sleep with a bra because I'm just used to it. But okay, so anyway, every single night I would go to sleep with a bra on because of what my grandma used to tell me. So for some reason, the night before that day, I did not go to sleep with a bra on. I honestly do not know why. But so the next morning, all right, I'm around in the living room bragging about my new six-pack to my sister, and my dad is like, oh, let me see. If you have a six-pack, let me see. I'm like, okay. So I go up to my dad and I'm like a foot away from him, and I just lift my shirt to show him my six-pack, but I lift it up pretty high and I have no bra on, and my boobs, like, I feel them bounce. I feel them hit the air, and I'm like, holy shit, I just flashed my dad my boobs, and I'm like a foot away from his face. My dad busted out laughing like hysterically. He's like, you're my baby, it's okay. But I'm like, Dad, I'm a teenager. I just flashed my dad in his face, my boobs, my fully grown boobs in your face. He was crying from laughing so hard. My mom screamed because she was sitting right next to him. It was like a funny and hysterical moment, and I started crying because I was just so embarrassed. Like, I was laughing, but at the same time I started crying because I was just so embarrassed that I flashed my dad my boobs. I just can't believe that I did that. And it's a funny story that he freaking still tells that story to this day, like at family dinners and stuff. He just thinks it was the funniest thing in the world. But it was mortifying. Imagine flashing your dad a foot away from his face and just like everything hanging out. Mortifying. I'm telling you guys, mortifying. And not that this really has to do with the story, but another really embarrassing thing just happened to me. This isn't a first or anything, but I want to tell you guys a story anyway. I went to an event for Clean and Clear that they invited me to with a guest, and I went with my mom. So they had a car that picked us up, drove us into the city, and then brought us back home. So when we were coming back home, the car company called and they said the car is downstairs, you can go ahead, it's waiting for you. And we were in Times Square, so we left. So funny when I think about it. We leave the building and go downstairs, and right in the front of the sidewalk, there's a black car parked there. So I'm like, okay, there it is, Mom. So she's like, all right, and she starts walking into it. She opens the back door and she gets in like nothing. And the guy in the driver's seat turns around and he just looks at us. And he's just looking at us like we have like 5 heads. And I kind of knew then that something was off. And he's just like, think that you guys got into the wrong car. And it basically was just a guy that happened to have a black car that looked like a town car, and he was just sitting there with his doors unlocked, and basically we're just two strange women that opened up the back door and just went in his car and sat down, and he didn't scream, like he didn't, I don't know, probably because it was two women, because if I'm a woman and two men get in my back seat, I'm gonna scream, like something's gonna happen. But this guy totally just looked at us and he's like, I think you guys got in the wrong car. So that was pretty embarrassing, and then we like triple checked to make sure that we were getting into the right car service, because that was just like the most embarrassing thing ever. But nothing tops that story with my dad. Like flashing my dad takes the cake all the way. Anyway, that is it for the first time tag. I had a lot of fun filming this. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you learned a little bit more about me. If there's any more fun tags going on that you guys want me to film, or if you guys want to see, just let me know down below. And let me know your most embarrassing moment, because I feel like I really put myself out there with that one, and I want to feel a little bit better by hearing some of your embarrassing stories. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye.